Ever wanted to make an art series, stringing together multiple pieces into one themed collection? In this video, I share tips for how you can create a cohesive art series while sharing how I create one with simple tools and techniques. First, a little about the series I'm creating. The 3 pieces I create in this video are part of an ongoing series I started working on. I've actually shared the first 12 pieces I created in other videos. I will leave links to those below if you want to see the full series. Each piece uses the song title from Taylor Swift's The Tortured Poets Department album for the basis of it. The only words I use are the track number and the song title. This leads me to the first tip for how to create a themed series, and that is to decide what the common thread will be. What will remain the same? This could be the size of your canvas, the medium you use, a color palette, or just about anything you would like. But it helps to decide this from the start so you have guidelines as you create each piece. For mine, there were a few. First, to use a typewriter for a majority of the words. On a past piece, I did some custom lettering, but the common denominator is to use an authentic typewriter for the words. Another rule I stuck to is the size and type of paper. I used an A5 handmade textured white paper with torn edges. Simply having the same size of canvas or paper can really bring together a series. Plus, depending on how you display it afterward, it creates a nice grid suitable for framing, a better presentation overall. I also decided to choose a somewhat similar color palette in that all the colors are either muted or dark. They are not vibrant, neon, or primary colors. It's important for the colors used to further the somber and contemplative mood of the album I'm creating for. The last rule I stuck to is keeping materials and techniques simple. Just the typewriter, collage, and a bit of gouache paint. Another key for creating an art series is to think about the theme of the content you are creating. What similarities will there be? For example, maybe you are doing a portrait series. The common factor is it's a portrait drawing, but each is of a different face. It could be landscapes, all different countryside scenes with a similar color palette, or cityscapes, but each of a different city. Or maybe it's an abstract painting with a similar pattern, but vastly different colors. Not everything has to be the same. You can pick and choose and make it your own. I already touched on this a bit, but for mine, the common theme and content for my series is it's for an album, using each one of the song titles. The interesting thing about creating this series is I actually made all of these before I even heard the album. So I was essentially making assumptions about the songs and creating a made-up narrative solely based on the song title and how I interpreted it. I might actually create another series on the same theme of this album after I've had time to really dive into the music, because once I've heard the lyrics and understand the meaning behind them, I can create a better story in an art piece, and something that means more to me personally. For this one, the manuscript, I was excited to use this old handwritten ledger from the 1800s. Handwriting from earlier periods is exquisite, art in and of itself. I kept the design simple, adding a red line from the title through to the end of the page. For this last piece, track number 3, My Boy Only Breaks His Favorite Toys, I'm using all 3 of the tools and techniques I mentioned: collage, gouache paint, and the typewriter. I didn't want to be too literal with the imagery for this one and show a toy, but instead lean into more abstract ideas. So for one of the collage elements, I used this old illustration style of someone firing a cannon off into the distance. This signifies the idea of destroying something, which I can assume the song is about, but in this case, destroying a relationship. The black and white strip is purely decorative, but I wanted to play with layout by adding a paint overlay and using this to create an anchor for the title text. Using a typewriter in general on textured paper lessens the crispness of the ink. Normally, I would retype the same word on top a few times to hit the paper with another layer of ink, and sometimes fill it in with a fine liner marker. But in this case, I really appreciated the brokenness of the type. It adds to the concept of a disintegrating relationship. You do, however, need to be careful how you roll collage paper through a typewriter. Sometimes things get caught. These are the 3 final pieces I created. You can see how each shines on their own as a standalone piece, but also look part of a greater series. And here's how they look with the rest of the pieces I've created so far. Let me know in a comment which one is your favorite or what type of art series you're looking to create. And check out one of these videos next to see how I created the rest of the series.